We're going to kick off the second session here, and I'd just like to introduce the chair for this session, Fiona Quinn. Fiona is responsible for the local government division in the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage, and I'll hand you over to Fiona. Thanks, Fiona.
Thanks very much, Eddie, and good morning, everybody. And as Eddie said, I'm head of the Local Government Division in the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage. I'm also a NOAC board member, so it's great to be here this morning to meet you all, and indeed welcome all the people online as well. Really good to see, and we were talking about some of the COVID learnings earlier on. It's great to see the benefits and being able to kind of reach a wider audience using our kind of more newer technologies. Just a quick reminder to everyone to switch your mobile phones off if you haven't done already, and we'll be ready to kick off. Really interesting, I think, for the first session, just to see the kind of level of innovation and very much focused on the kind of digital and cyberspace, you know, with the ISAC and then obviously the CCTV project. And I know everybody was fascinated by the drones and looking forward to being able to get taxis home on Saturday nights, a drone taxi, be a great improvement. But I think we have 4 projects we want to talk to you about in this second session. And we have Tipperary, Dunleary, Rathdown, Leitrim County Councils, and then the Local Government Management Agency as well. And we have a mix of projects. We have a couple again that are in the kind of digital type space, and then 2 that are in the kind of more stereotypical local government operational space. And the first one, we'd like to welcome Brian Beck, who's Director of Service at Tipperary County Council. And Brian's going to talk to us about the Sustainable Energy Centre of Excellence in Nenagh. And this project, which is being funded under the Urban Regeneration Development Fund, is seeking to deliver, I guess, a demonstrator regeneration urban quarter through the creation of an iconic building that will act as an exemplar of how we could live in a low carbon and climate resilient community. I think you'd all agree that it's a very relevant project at the moment as we kind of face into winter with potentially some energy challenges. So look forward to hearing all about it. Brian, I'll hand over to you.
Thank you, Fiona. Morning. I'd like to introduce you to SECOE Ireland, and this project has evolved from a combination of factors related to both Nenagh's expansion in regeneration and the wider future-proofing of Ireland's construction and wider economy for the advancement of sustainable energy technologies. And these are the partners to the project: the Tipperary County Council, Tipperary Energy Agency, the Technology University of the Shannon, North Tipperary Development Company, Community Power, and a private company called SECOE Hydro. And as a partnership, we have several decades of experience of working with businesses, communities, and citizens in delivering sustainable energy projects, research and development, public engagement, and rural development. So I hope to be able to show you how and where this project evolved, how its foundations were laid at a time of austerity, and how the partners have reacted to opportunities to deliver on objectives of Project Ireland 2040 and the Climate Action Plan. So this is the site in 2012. It's just over 10 hectares in size, 24.7 acres. This is the Dublin Road. Many of you probably drove in before Nenagh was bypassed. This is O'Connor Shopping Centre, probably one of the first shopping centres built in Munster in the early 1970s. Abbey Machinery was from 1947. We have Sheehan's Yard here in O'Mill that was completely empty, and we have Arbonne Co-op down here and the train station here. So that was the site in 2020. Interestingly enough, as you can see, the site actually nearly is the same size as the town centre, and that was the problem. How do you deliver something that's not going to take away from the town centre? So it all starts back in 2011 when O'Connor Shopping Centre closed and the site deteriorated pretty quickly. And when we were preparing the new Nenagh Town Development Plan, it became clear that the site needed a master plan to inform the long-term development. And that master plan became known as the Martyr's Road Master Plan. And that plan then began to influence private development over the coming years, and then the idea of the National Sustainable Centre of Excellence arose. And this led to the identification of this site and a subsequent URDF application in 2020. So key learnings we got from it and can point to are the key support of the elected members, a strong partnership, a clear concept, landowners who were committed to reimagining the town, and a department who was willing to buy into the vision. So these are images of the site back in 2013, an underutilised, car-dominated, empty edge of centre location in multiple ownerships. And that was what we set out with the elected members to try and change. So uniquely, we treated the master plan in the same way as a statutory plan, with similar public engagement and consultation periods, and it was brought through council, and I think Tommy over there from the LG was a councillor at the time, and we brought it through council for adoption, even though it was a non-statutory plan. And that was very important because we wanted to increase its profile and importance in the eyes of the public and the elected members. And the Martyr's Road master plan document is not just a master plan, it's a land use strategy, it's an urban design strategy, it's a public realm strategy, and it's a movement strategy. And as I said, it was about how do we develop this 10-acre site in a relatively small rural town, which is effectively the same size as the existing town centre, without damaging it or competing with it. So, as I mentioned earlier on, we came up with the concept of the National Sustainable Energy Centre of Excellence. That was its original name. We had no site in mind apart from the idea that it should be based in Nenagh town. And what you see here is part of the feasibility study of all available sites in the town. And this became very important when we were doing our preliminary business case as part of our options appraisal analysis. And our design team looked at 12 sites throughout the town, set against 14 criteria. That allowed us to narrow it down to 3 sites, which we examined in greater detail before we eventually arrived at the Martyr's Road site. So as the project evolved in our minds and the partners developed the business case, we agreed on this ambition. And the 2 key phrases there are the Centre of Excellence and the Catalyst. And around this idea of the Centre of Excellence and Catalyst, we developed 4 pillars, which we believed it could become. So a centre of learning, a centre of incubation and innovation, a centre of community and social and community enterprise, and a centre of public engagement. And these pillars are built around the ethos and ambitions of each of the partners. So the partners to the project are recognised for innovation and delivery, and we have a long established track record in partnership and in delivering on climate action. And over the years, we have a partnership have asked what we as a county in Tipperary can contribute towards national goals and agenda in the areas of carbon, climate action, renewable energy and carbon reduction. And this has set Tipperary apart, and the county and the TEA were highlighted in the National Planning Framework as a case study. And as a consequence of that, the Southern Regional Special Economic Strategy identified Nenagh as the location for a sustainable energy centre of excellence. And this national and regional support was a central part of our URDF application. So you're building a story, you're building from the ground up all the time. And as mentioned in my previous slide, Tipperary has sought for many years to get into that space and to be at the forefront of climate change. We haven't hidden away from it. We want to be there in the forefront of how climate change and renewable energy agenda is set. And those are some of the areas where we've got involved in. The council at the time commissioned the biggest solar energy on all of its public buildings. 800 solar panels were put on all of it. It was the biggest contract in the country at the time. We're putting in wood pellet boilers in our public buildings. The development of the Lisheen bioeconomy campus on the former Lisheen mine site outside of Thurles. The support by ourselves and the TA of the first community wind farm in the country. We have always tried to strive to see where we can move this agenda forward. So before I move on to the project itself, I just want to mention governance and accountability in delivery of capital projects. This is something which my chief executive is very, very strong on. And what we have here is the structure established in Tipperary. So from the chief executive right down to, and the management team, right down to the project managers, which we've put into each municipal district, and the internal audit section. So what we're doing, we're ensuring that projects undergo full and proper scrutiny, that the structures are audited, and that robust project management systems are in place and are working. And this is central to capital project system in Tipperary, and is constantly being reviewed and improved. And it's something which, as we go through all of our capital projects, we are learning and evolving all the time. So just showing you here again, oops, sorry, apologies. Go back. Okay, so again, this was the original master plan of Martyr's Road, but this was the URDF application sitting in the middle of it. And this was made up of the SECOE building here and the public realm around it. And the key principles to the project are compact growth, building design, education and innovation, permeability, connectivity and traffic, public open space, biodiversity, monitoring and recording of how the building and the public realm work, and then resource use and management. So what will SECOE Ireland be? And that goes back to the 4 pillar objectives I mentioned earlier on and the key principles from the previous slide. And each of the objectives and principles is targeted at delivering innovative solutions, from training and development to new cutting-edge research and technologies, to incubating low-carbon social enterprises, and delivering a public realm which improves and expands on Nenagh town. The whole idea is, as you can see there, what we're trying to do is create this energy positive building, with the plan that the building will power the neighbourhood, this low carbon neighbourhood. The building will power the lighting, will power the recharging points for the electric bikes, the electric scooters. The building will provide power within to the neighbourhood itself. We're looking at a building, as you can see here. We're not trying to hide the technology. We're putting the technology front and center so that people can come and learn and interrogate and be part of what we're trying to do here in terms of the M&E, in terms of the technology for 2030, but then how the building can then reimagine itself again for 2050. This building will be constantly developing and evolving. So there's nothing quite like a deadline to help a project along. And we've been working with our partners since the award of funding to progress this with regular steering and delivering groups from the partners. And these are just 4 documents which we've developed. We have the preliminary business case here with Grant Thornton. We have a communication and consultation plan. We developed the project charter, which includes the risk register. Very importantly, we got in independent quantity surveyors to challenge all the figures that we'd put together in terms of the costings, to interrogate those figures and to look at how we could value engineer the process because of the scale of it. And then we developed the branding around it, the 4 pillars that you can see there coming together in terms of SECOE Ireland. We've also completed stage 1 of the restricted tendering process and are currently at stage 2 tendering, developing the stage 2 documents. As part of this, we've workshops and experts assist us in the preparation of these tender documents, developed with public, private bodies, NGOs, community businesses, state and semi-state agencies. We've met with various government agencies, looked at other funding opportunities, and we've also requested our internal audit section to do a full audit of the project to have the learnings and to learn from those. So again, going back to 2020 or 2012, apologies, what you can see there is the Dublin Road again with O'Connor's and Abbey Machinery. And since that time, we have, as I mentioned, we have started to have the investment, the private investment. So a private developer bought O'Connor's on the basis of the master plan, knocked it, did a deal with Lidl, building a new store with some private, some additional smaller stores. Abbey Machinery has now moved to a more appropriate location. You could see a start of a new development taking place in here in Sheehan's Yard. And then going on to the existing where we are today, you can see the Lidl development finished. They've put in a public open space area, which we requested as part of the planning. Abbey Machinery completely gone. Sheehan's Yard building is finished. We've put in with Éireann a new public car park, which will be delivered parking for this whole regeneration. ESB, working with ESB to look at them moving out and delivery of a new road. As you can see, it's nearly there, just to finish it off and to provide relief. And then the longer term strategy or plan, again, the SECOE building built, these linked open spaces running through the site, the low carbon neighbourhood. These houses have been granted planning permission and moving back with delivery of more housing, getting rid of uses which should no longer be in the town centre. And then just some imagery from the site. That's the building itself. As you can see, the public realm being part of, we don't want the standard public realm here. We want low embodied carbon public realm. How can we can deliver a public realm that doesn't rely on granite coming from China? As how can the biodiversity in that public realm deliver? How can we move the traffic away so it becomes dominated by the pedestrian, by the cyclist, by the biodiversity, that the building is central to that whole story. Another view from the other side of the building, you can see that the plaza area, but the regeneration from where we were back in 2012 to where we're going. And don't forget, this is funded. This is being processed. This will be delivered. A car park which the council owns being changed into a community space for farmers markets. You're moving through the town from space to space to space. And the future, the additional phases. This isn't about just delivering this phase. There are additional phases to come in terms of how we do this. Engaging with the remaining owners, as I said, with ESB, with Inord Air. And we're looking, remember I mentioned Arbon Co-op. How can we deliver a district heating system utilising their major expansion and all the heat that they're generating from their processing? The Tipperary Energy Agency has estimated that their excess heat could deliver a large amount of the heat required for the buildings in Nenagh town centre, especially the older buildings. And how can we utilise that? The active travel, utilising the funding there to bring all that movement right through the rest of the site, out to the new town park and leisure centre which lie here, and all the way through back into the town. The mobility and transportation hub around the train station with commuter rail links into Limerick. We're already in discussions with the EU about how this building can form part of a central and longer term partnership with other similar style projects around Europe, and the research that could go on there, and the low carbon neighbourhood, delivery of this lower carbon neighbourhood with those linked open spaces running through the site, the delivery of housing and the regeneration of this 10 hectares so it doesn't compete, it delivers, and it works with the rest of the town. So just in terms of the last slide, where we're going, the key dates running through to opening and completion in 2026 of the building, and then the future delivery. And just to say, the building is already pre-let. All of the partners have committed to the building, and there will be a presence in the building going forward. So that's me, and that's my contact details if anybody would like to. So thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Brian. Fascinating project, amazing to see, I think, the kind of evolution of thought over many years. And we spoke about the challenges of kind of cultural change when we were talking about the data protection project earlier on. It's interesting to see in Tipperary County Council the interest and the drive for climate and energy initiatives over many years, and kind of culminating in this first phase of this bigger project. So very interesting, and certainly look forward to seeing the building when you have it up and running, Brian.